Yo, and welcome back to the channel. Today I thought we'd do a different video, a little bit more interesting. I just recently hit iridescent solo queue, so I thought, you know what, across my journey from bronze to iridescent, there's a few things I learned about each rank. So today we're going to be going through and kind of just talking about each rank, and if you guys are either a rank below or the rank I kind of mentioned, hopefully you can maybe learn something from it and help you advance to the next rank. That's the goal here. So starting off with bronze, if you guys are currently watching this video and you're in bronze and you're stuck there and you're really struggling, I would honestly say that bronze level, no one really understands the game at a higher level. No one really understands what's going on. It's kind of just everyone roaming around and, you know, just kind of hoping for the best. So what I would honestly say is, even with no game sense, you could get through bronze with mechanics alone. So what I would say is start to understand the basics of FPS. So whenever I speak to anyone that's kind of in bronze, most of the time they would say they're very new to the game, and they, you know, any concept like centering and stuff like that, they're not really familiar with. So I would say you could just play the game and probably get out of bronze soon. But if you actually want to, you know, just bypass that process of learning and get past bronze in the first day, honestly, go into a private game, watch some of my other videos of centering, and just start to understand the basics of shooting in Call of Duty, the basics of movement, sliding, side canceling, just the basics that you kind of need to carry on for the rest of the rest of the ranks. Once you get that, you'll be good to go. You can literally rely on gun skill alone and start to rotate a little bit early, start to set up on the hills, and you will be fine. You could definitely solo queue out of bronze. Then we move on to silver. With silver, I actually coached some people in silver, and I was actually surprised a little bit. I was like, you know what, they actually can shoot. Like, say we're playing a private game and we've got radar on, like, they're actually okay. They definitely can shoot, but there's still other things they don't know. For example, like, you know, aim assist, you know, how to kind of use rotational aim assist. Still with their centering, it's basically the same thing as bronze. The only difference is they have a little bit more experience in terms of like FPS games and holding a controller or keyboard and mouse, and I feel like they're a little bit more confident in actually getting kills. Maybe if they play pubs, they're above like an okay level, like that they can actually shoot back and they can actually hold their own in certain lobbies. So I think once you're in silver, you just need to start to understand the game about, you know, rotating early and making sure you're setting up and stuff like that. But again, the main thing for me is the mechanics. If you can rely on mechanics, you can easily get to gold, platinum purely on mechanics alone, even without understanding the basics of the game, in terms of like, not even basics, like the advanced level of the game. So I would say if you're bronze and silver, just go to a private game, put some bots on and just practice. Start to shoot the bots. If you get comfortable against them and you feel like, you know, you can actually like center and stuff like that, you should easily get into the gold lobby just like that. Okay, another thing is making sure like your teammates are going to obviously not really know what's going on, so you make sure you don't fall for the same trap, and make sure you rotate and just make sure you set up for the actual win and not worry about the other stuff in the game which will come with it. Then you go to gold. Now gold is actually the most common rank in the game. I would say about every 5 people I coach, I would say maybe 2 or 3 are gold. Like, it's really that common. I think there's like 60% of all players are in gold, so you're going to find out that most players are in around the gold level. So what I've realized with gold is they can shoot, they understand the game to a decent level, and you know, they have like a general understanding of the game, and it's actually not a bad level, right? They can shoot their gun, I would say. But now you're trying to level up to the next bit, because there's so many people in gold, there's so many people with a similar level. So there's 2 ways to get ahead: 1, mechanically; 2, game awareness. Okay, now I would say it's easier to probably learn game awareness at that point, because you've now got to a point where your mechanics are similar to other gold players. But if you can start to understand awareness and, you know, start to understand the game in itself, like what the mini map is, what the kill feed, and like how we can use them, you will start to get yourself at a higher level. So if you're in gold, I would say now's your time to start actually trying to get ahead a little bit. Before gold, if you're bronze and silver and you're like starting gold, most people just play the game. They don't warm up, nothing like that. They just kind of play the game and they just naturally rank up. If you're in gold now, I would say now it's a good time to start actually understanding the concept of cutting lanes, understanding the concept of anchoring spawns, what that means, you know, just applying pressure. Like, all these things are very, very important. And I would say there's no harm in shooting bots, there's no harm in stuff like that, because gold can be a bit of a pit. What I mean by that is, with gold, because there's so many people, like I said, it's the highest actually percentage of players, right? You don't know who your teammates are going to be, so a lot of the times you may be in a bit of a blender, and that's why people get hard stuck, is because you have one game with decent teammates, one game with bad teammates. So what I would say is just kind of make sure that you're consistently that good teammate. If you're in gold, it gets to a point where now, like, to get to platinum, you just got to smooth out your game a little bit. We know you can shoot a little bit, we know you can slide cancel, like, you know the basics, but now it's time to really up that level and start to work on your game awareness. Start to look at the minimap and the kill feed and start piecing things together, and that's how you can get out of gold. Again, practice, shoot bots before you guys play, and the biggest thing is just warming up. Just warm up, make sure when you're playing you're actually locked in and going for those wins. And then we have platinum. Okay, I would say in my head, the way the tier list kind of goes for me is like bronze and silver are kind of together. I think gold and platinum are a little bit together. They're kind of on their own tier list because there's so many players in there. I think they're kind of separate, but then you have platinum. Now, platinum to diamond, I think it's a little bit of a jump, to be fair. So if you guys are in platinum, you actually have a solid foundation of the game. You understand, you know, timings, you understand concepts. You're actually a decent player. You're actually above the average player. But when I think about diamonds, I think diamonds are actually decent players. They're not like pros and stuff, but they're not bad players. Like if you put a diamond against a pro or like a challenger or like a iridescent, he's gonna get fried. But a diamond player, if you put him in like a public lobby, or let's say you had 100 COD players, right, 100 casual COD players, a diamond will be a really good player there. He'll actually stand out. Okay, so diamond's a good level. So if you're plat now, it's time to really step up the game. How can you get from plat to diamond? Again, it really comes down to making sure you're working on your floor as a player. I think this is what the one thing I would say: when you're on the platinum level, you now need to increase your floor. You can't get away with really bad games, really bad performances. You now need to improve your floor as a player. Things you can do: watch the kill cam and start to understand the game a bit more. Start to watch, you know, some CDL pros, see the routes they're taking, just kind of understand the game at a deeper level. You can essentially now start studying the game. You can start earlier, by the way. If you're watching this in silver or gold, you can start earlier. But for me, you can get to platinum without studying the game like that. Or you can get to platinum by just working yourself in a private game and just kind of understanding the basics. Now you're in platinum. To get to diamond, I think you want to start to understand the game, because timing is a big thing. Whenever I've coached a platinum player and we do a VOD review together, I would show them something they do, and it would take maybe 5 to 10 seconds in game for them to do it. When we're talking about in the VOD review, we thought about that 10 seconds ago, but in the game, they're acting on it 10 seconds later. Sometimes they're misinterpreting kind of basic spawns. They're not really reading the mini-map or the pressure. So these are a lot of things you can work on in that platinum level. I think I said diamond, I meant platinum level. So when you're platinum, it really comes down to understanding game awareness, improving your timing. There's quite a bit to work from between plat and diamond. But again, don't lose faith. If you guys are currently in plat, you're nearly there. You're nearly at the diamond level, and it really comes down to understanding the game awareness. And then we move on to diamond. Okay, I think when you're in diamond, you're in that next tier now. I think a diamond player is quite decent. Again, diamond is quite a popular rank, I would say. There's a lot of players that are in diamond, and they're trying to make that move to crimson. Now, to be honest with you, I think diamond to crimson, again, is a little bit of a jump. And my biggest thing I've noticed between the two, between diamond and crimson, I think one thing again is they're a little bit more smooth. If you watch a crimson in terms of the mechanics, it's just a bit more smooth. So there's definitely a mechanical difference. But in terms of game awareness, I think the biggest thing is timing. If I was coaching a diamond right now and we went through stuff and I paused it and kind of asked them like, what do you think now? I think the diamonds would get it most of the time. But the difference is in-game executing. In-game, can you do that? Can you execute in-game as a diamond? If you can at a higher speed and a higher rate, that's what's going to get you closer to crimson. Another thing I would say, it's just my opinion, some people might not agree with this one, but being a flexible player, I think especially now, you need to be able to be more comfortable with being flexible and filling in the gaps of your team, especially solo queue. If you're solo queuing in diamond, right, you're trying to get crimson, you need to now have roles. If you're solo queuing in bronze and your whole team is running a sub, honestly, if you ran a sub as well and you're really good, you could just drop 60 kills and no one would bat an eye and just move on, right? But now you're in diamond. Now you're in a good level in terms of like the players you're going up against are decent players. You now need to start making sure you have actual roles. You have people anchoring spawns, people holding hills, people holding lanes. You need to make sure things are kind of filled in. So what I'm going to do is give you guys a real quick little diagram that I kind of come up with in my head. And this is something that's kind of helped me when I'm solo queuing, and hopefully it helps you too, okay? So we're going to go through. Hopefully the game's, oh, is the game over? Okay, that was, okay. What we're going to do is we're going to rewind it a little bit. We're just going to go through and talk about the last two ranks, and then we'll end it there. This is just a gameplay I got on my journey to iridescent. But yeah, anyways, what you want to do is have this. You want to have like a roll of the hill. Okay, that's hill. Holding spawns. Cutting lanes. And then the flexible player, okay? So when you're in, let's say you're in silver, right? And your team, they're not really going to have set roles because no one really knows what's going on. They're all going to kind of just run around and like, it's going to be a little bit messy. So you just need to make sure you're just outskilling the opponents, and you can in silver. Because they're quite new to the game, it's easy to have that higher skill ceiling if you understand the game, okay? Once you get to gold and platinum, it gets a little bit more difficult, but you can do the same thing. But once you get to diamond, this is where I would say you need to make sure. Let's say your teammate has someone holding kill, you have someone holding spawns, and they have another person holding spawns, right? Now you need to identify the gap, which is cutting lanes. So for that hill, you need to be cutting lanes. It's all about being adaptable. You need to essentially be the flexible player and work around. You need to start using equipment more. You need to start using stuff like that. You need to really make sure you're not like things like equipment you have to be using. Like, you're watching that, this is the Crimson lobby. Like, every time I'm watching this back now, like, everyone's using equipment. You have to look at the kill feed. Right now I'm looking at the kill feed. I know they're on the point. There's a gap in the setup. I go through. Yes, I overcommit there. That was a bad play. But you see, we've got a 2 KD in this lobby. We're 2-0 up. We're doing pretty good. I'm looking at the kill feed now. I know 3 are downs. Okay, cool. That means I can push through. There's a bit more space there. You see what I'm doing now? Switching guns. Things like this are very important. The reason I switched guns, why? Was because I was like, you know what? We have B left to hold. My teammates are pushing out. Let me hold with an AR and watch the top lane. Applying map pressure. All these things in the diamond are very, very important. Once you do that, once you grind through diamond and you make your way, you are now at Crimson, which is a top player. You're probably the top 5% in the game as a Crimson player. Very, very good player. Crimsons are definitely good players. They play the game at a high level. They're competitive. No casual player is really going to rock up and go Crimsons. If you're Crimson, I think well done. For me, it's a very, very high achievement. I think any achievement's good, you know, no matter what rank you are, as long as you're improving. But I think Crimson's a very, very good rank. And the difference between a diamond and a crimson, I would say, is the timing. But now, crimson and iridescent. What is the difference? I finally did it. I finally hit iridescent. What was slowing me down? What stopped me from hitting iridescent the last 2 years? I'm going to say the speed of the way you process information. To get to iridescent, the level I had to get to was I had to understand information on the map in the kill feed instantly. I had to literally react instantly. And I really do believe now, like when I go up against crimson and stuff, like I feel like I can hold my own every single game without no warm-up or nothing. And I feel like, you know, my understanding of the game is just at a lot higher level now. So I think it's the exact same thing from platinum to diamond to crimson. I think it's the same thing from crimson to iridescent. The way I look at it is like this, okay? Imagine there's a decision to be made, okay? And you're in gold. It might take you 10 seconds, okay? If you go to platinum, it might take you 8. Diamond, 5. Crimson, 3. Iridescent, 2 seconds. So, for example, the gap between the 10 and the 2, that's a huge gap in terms of when you process the information. So let's say a spawn flips, right? An iridescent might, within 2 seconds, turn around and be set up, where a gold might take 10 seconds to process that information. That's just a rough, like, you know, not real time zone, but just a rough thing. And this is the perfect example though, on a lobby. Like, my teammates were playing well, and you can see my teammates were playing well, so I did what I needed to do, went through and went 22-9. So that's going to be it for all the roles. And you hit iridescent. If you're iridescent, I mean, look, we made it. All right, we made it. I'm iridescent. You're iridescent. Let me know down below if you're iridescent. We'll team up, play some games. We made it. We made it to iridescent. I'm very happy with that. As a top player. If you're iridescent, I'm going to gas myself here. You are an elite player. You are the best in the world. No, I'm trolling. But if you're iridescent, I think you are a very, very high level, especially if you hit solo queue. I mean, there's not a lot of people that have done it. I'll be honest, chat. I'm very happy that I got to iridescent solo queue. But again, let's move on. Iridescent, I think you're at a point where you are above, not even the average, you are above a very, very high percentage of the players. And I would personally say you need to look at this game and say, you know, I don't know, is there any way I can maybe make it, not a career, but like, I don't know. I feel like if you're iridescent, like you play the game that much and you're that level, I feel like there's a good chance you can compete or do something with the game. If you're like, that's a very, very high level, bro. If someone's watching this right now and you're iridescent, you're just playing for fun and casually and like not even thinking it, I would just say like maybe have a think about if you could maybe make some content or something, because iridescent's a very, very high level. So yeah, I mean, if you're iridescent, you're absolutely cracked. And that's it. Today, just a little bit of a different video. I just thought it'd be fun to just, I've got a few gameplays that I kind of had on my journey to iridescent where I wasn't streaming, so I didn't have any voiceovers, but I wanted to kind of have them anyways, a gameplay, just to show you guys the journey, the last few wins that we got towards iridescent. And I thought, why not make them topic based? If you guys like more stuff like this, let me know down below. We do currently have 2 channels for gaming content. We're going to upload every single day, 3 times a day on both channels, and we're going to try add some variety in there as well, some other games like some Marvel Rivals and stuff like that. So I hope you guys do enjoy the variety, but rank play will still be our bread and butter every single day. We'll have some sort of rank play content. I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you did, drop a like, and I'll catch you guys for another one later on today. Peace.